In the poorest year of my life, I sold myself to Jack for 300,000, becoming his stand-in for the beautiful moonlight. I was teased by his friends and forced to drink until my stomach bled. They asked him, "Do you feel sorry for her?" He lowered his eyes and said indifferently, "Just a stand-in." Later, in order to save the beautiful moonlight, Jack watched me fall from a cliff into the sea. The search and rescue team never found my body. He suddenly went crazy, searching for me all over the world. 5 years later, I was invited back to my country, and I met him at the event venue. He stared at me intently, his eyes turning red. "I know you didn't die. I've been looking for you." I took a step back, politely and awkwardly smiled. "I'm sorry, who are you?" In Jack's heart, I was just a girlfriend in name only. In reality, I was just a substitute for Lucy, and a low-quality one at that. After all, she was a noble female star adored by everyone. But I came from humble beginnings. Jack spent 300,000 to buy my dignity. On the day Lucy returned to the country, discussions about her were trending. Jack went to the airport to pick her up for a gathering, and before leaving, he just casually said to me, "I won't be coming home for dinner tonight." Only after studying for an hour, he called again. There was a bottle of rare red wine in the liquor cabinet. "Find it and bring it to the restaurant," he said. Just as I had gotten into my study mode, the phone interrupted me. I sighed, found the bottle of wine, and drove to the restaurant to deliver it. In the private dining room, with a great deal of privacy, the bright lights and luxurious atmosphere created a celebratory mood. In the center were Lucy and Jack, like the center of the universe. She wore a dazzling silver gown, leaning slightly towards Jack, with an intimate posture. Everyone was cheering. "Lucy has finally returned. You have no idea how long Jack has been waiting for you." I walked over and stood in front of Jack. "The red wine you wanted, I found it according to the label, so it should be correct." The previously harmonious atmosphere froze for a moment when I arrived. After placing the wine bottle down, I turned to leave. Lucy spoke softly from behind, "Stay. Come and open the wine, pour it for us." I turned around, subconsciously looking at Jack. He was wearing an unbuttoned shirt, leaning back in his chair, his gaze casually fixed on me. "Don't you understand? Can you understand?" I lowered my eyes and replied, "I'll go find someone to get a corkscrew." As I left, I heard Lucy questioning, "Is this the kind of person you like now?" Jack remained silent. His friend on the side tried to defend him, saying, "Don't be angry, Lucy. Jack only has you in his heart. It's not his fault, she's been pestering him, he can't get rid of her." The wine was poured, but Lucy still wouldn't let me go. She was holding in her anger, asking me to serve the soup, peel the shrimp, and then smilingly asked, "Which university did you graduate from?" "Engineering. Such a prestigious school, hasn't it taught you what self-respect is?" She frowned and suddenly raised her hand, splashing half of the bowl of soup on my chest, then clinging to Jack. "Is she cheap? Is this how you climb the social ladder?" The liquid soaked through my clothes, leaving a burning sensation on the surface of my skin. Jack held Lucy's hand, gently comforting her, not even giving me a glance. "The pink diamond necklace you like has been ordered for you. Don't be mad at me, okay?" With a nod from a friend, they mixed red and white wines and beer into one full glass, pushing it in front of me. "Drink up, consider it an apology to Lucy." Another person grumbled discontentedly, "This wine is so expensive, it's a waste to give it to her." In Jack's circle of friends, Lucy was everyone's beloved moonlight. Because of this, no one respected me, finding ways to tease and make things difficult for me. And Jack never stopped them. Especially this time, as it was in front of Lucy. I picked up the murky liquid in the glass and downed it in one go. The strong burning sensation brought by the alcohol spread from my throat to my stomach. Tears welled up instantly. I bent over, unable to hold back the gagging feeling. "Okay, no need to ruin your appetite, get out," Jack said, casually tossing me the corkscrew. He didn't control his strength well, and the corkscrew hit my forehead. After a sharp pain, blood started flowing, trickling down my cheek. He hesitated for a moment, subconsciously took a step towards me. I held my forehead, bowed, and then hurriedly ran out. When I got back home, I took a shower and tended to the wound on my forehead. It was then that I realized Jack had also returned. He didn't look very good. I began to understand. "Did you have a fight with Lucy, Hannah?" He coldly scolded, walking up to me in long strides, grabbing my wrist and pressing me against the edge of the bed. I struggled to push him away, but Jack's strength far exceeded mine. The light swayed, the brightness shining pierced through my closed eyes. Tears inevitably seeped out. He paused for a moment, pinching my chin, forcing me to lift my face. Why cry? Feel wronged? Hannah, didn't you say you liked me, and that you were willing to do anything to stay by my side, regardless of status? The kiss on my lips was forceful, carrying a vicious strength. It quickly made me taste the bitter sweetness of blood. Jack ordered me, have you forgotten everything I taught you before? Close your eyes. Your eyes, they look least like hers. In his actions that were far from gentle, the pain intensified. In my confusion, when I opened my eyes, I coincidentally met his inexplicably dark gaze, a gaze that seemed to carry a certain emotional release. Suddenly, I understood. I had angered Lucy, and Jack was punishing me. Consumed by a huge sense of shame, I thought back to the past. When we first met, I was a penniless, impoverished student. And he was the high and mighty Jack. In the bar where I worked, he got drunk and became furious as he looked at my face. Don't come here and do such despicable things with a face that's somewhat similar to hers. Later, my grandmother, who was my only family, fell ill, and I had borrowed money from every possible platform, but was still short of $300,000. For that amount, I sold myself to Jack. It was a proactive surrender. The price? He forbid me from continuing my studies and pursuing a postgraduate degree. A stand-in must look like a stand-in. He spoke indifferently, with just a few words, deciding the course of my life. Didn't you say you liked me? At least for these 3 years, stay by my side, don't go anywhere. Initially, it was because Lucy left him to study abroad. Jack wouldn't allow the same situation to happen again. From that day on, my dream of pursuing further education and research became truly out of reach. My grandmother couldn't survive the complications after surgery, holding on for half a year before passing away. I sat in the graveyard all night, my mind in a daze. In the middle of the night, rain started to patter down. An umbrella appeared over my head. It was Jack. He looked down at me with a gentle, rare tone. How long are you going to stay here? I'll accompany you. We were together for 3 years. I took care of him meticulously. There were brief moments of tenderness between us, but I knew that Jack actually looked down on me. It was also during a gambling session with his buddies when I went to pick him up, but was stopped and teased by a few people. They looked me over, saying with a laugh, indeed, she does resemble Lucy a bit. Heard she's a high-achieving student from a top engineering school, even worked on a patented project. True or false? Hey, how did you work on a project, such a high-achieving student? Why not demonstrate for us here? Watching them, I pinched my palms tightly. Research is a serious matter, not for mockery or entertainment. The man leading the teasing sneered. What's with the act? You talk about research, but isn't it just to get a good price for yourself? The bottle of wine was pushed towards me, not willing, huh? Then drink up. Finish this bottle, and Jack will go with you. Indeed, I received $300,000 from him. This was what I deserved. Before Lucy left the country, she was already a top-tier star. Now that she had returned with extra luster, she had numerous film contracts waiting for her. She called and said that she had just returned to the country and needed a useful assistant. She thought you, Hannah, looked good, seemed like you knew how to serve people. Jack fell silent for a moment. She chuckled. What? Can't bear to part with her? No. Jack replied indifferently, if you need her, then I'll let her go. I followed Lucy onto the film set. During breaks, the second female lead, Karina, came over to chat. Lucy, your assistant looks quite similar to you. It's just that her eyes aren't quite the same. She has a teardrop mole, adding more charm than you. Karina was originally cast as the female lead in the movie, but Lucy returned and directly snatched her role. Karina felt resentful. By saying this, she intentionally tried to provoke Lucy. As expected, Lucy's face changed, and her eyes looked at me with almost undisguised hatred. After finishing work in the afternoon, she said she had lost her ring. It should have fallen into the lake when they were shooting by the lakeside. Her gaze moved around and finally landed on me. Hannah, go into the lake and find it for me. The artificial lake had a low water level, barely reaching up to my waist. I immersed myself in it, bending down to feel the silt at the bottom of the lake. The evening sky was tinted with the remaining red hues of the sunset, gradually darkening with the arrival of night. It was clear that Lucy was deliberately making things difficult, as everyone stood silently on the shore, watching. No one would stand up for an unknown assistant. My fingers were wrinkled and turned white from the icy lake water as I touched the mud at the bottom. It reminded me of my university days, immersed in the laboratory working on my graduation project. Keeping my hands clean and dry, picking up test tubes, culture dishes, and slides, observing results, recording data. My senior sisters and mentors all said I was a talented student and would go far in this field. But an ordinary person's life cannot withstand a single bump. Just a slight setback could destroy everything. Even though it had only been 3 years, it felt like a lifetime ago. Finally, when the sky was completely dark, the stylist spoke up. "Lucy, I found your ring. It was on the table in the dressing room." I may have accidentally left it there. Lucy took the ring and casually tossed it into her Hermes bag, saying, "Come up, Hannah, tidy yourself up. Don't make yourself look like I've been bullying you." After work, Jack would come to pick her up. I sat dripping wet under a few pear trees outside the set. I didn't know how long passed before the black Rolls-Royce turned back. Jack got out of the car and walked up to me, saying, "Go home and change." I didn't look up. He softened his tone slightly. "Don't blame Lucy, she's just upset, a little venting, and it'll be fine." Seeing that I still didn't respond, Jack lost his patience. "That's enough, Hannah, who are you sulking at?" I sniffed, holding back tears, and looked up at him. "Jack, it's been 3 years, and now Lucy is back. Please let me go." His face changed slightly. "Where do you want to go?" I picked up the canvas bag next to me and took out a document, saying, "I've applied to a top foreign university for a master's degree in biological sciences, and they have already sent me an acceptance letter." Before I could finish speaking, Jack snatched the pages, tore them to pieces. He grabbed my wet wrist, pushed me into the car. His hot palm touching my icy arm, warming gradually. Under the dim glow of the car's headlights, Jack looked at me with a chilling gaze. "You better not even think about it. Nowhere is allowed. Hannah, you are my girlfriend." After that day, I never went back to the set. Jack found a new assistant for Lucy, then arranged for me to work in his company as his personal assistant. "You'll be with me from now on," he said, playing with a pen in his hand, then looking up at me, softening his tone slightly. "It was Karina who deliberately provoked your relationship with Lucy that day. I've talked to someone, and she won't be acting in any more films." Seeing my lack of reaction or response, Jack's face darkened. With a warning tone, he said, "Hannah, don't try my patience." Have I been unreasonable? Karina was just upset about losing the role and deliberately provoked Lucy with a few words. Who the real troublemaker was, both Jack and I knew. It's just that because I angered him that day, he didn't care that I was soaking wet and intentionally tormented me for a long time in the car. These days, I have been running a low fever. After taking the medicine and feeling drowsy, I had no strength or energy to argue with him. I just lowered my head slightly and said, "I understand." In the evening, after Lucy finished work, I drove Jack to have dinner with her. As soon as she saw me, she spoke in a frosty voice, "Jack, I don't want to argue with you. Don't bring anything that will ruin my appetite." Jack glanced at me and said, "Wait in the car." I nodded, turned, and walked away. On my phone, there was an email from the school where I had applied. "Hannah, the acceptance letter has been sent to you. When can you come to report to the school? I have applied for the highest amount of scholarship for you and am looking forward to teaching such a talented and hardworking student." I clasped my hands in the air. As if by doing so, I could grasp the pieces of the torn acceptance letter that Jack had discarded. That night, Jack didn't come home. He sent me a message, "I'm taking Lucy home, you don't have to wait for me. Stay there overnight?" He replied without hesitation, "Hannah, that is not something you have the right to ask." I drove to the cemetery in the outskirts. My grandmother had been buried there for over 2 years. The photo embedded in the tombstone was taken during her final days. She was seriously ill at the time. The money saved over the years through cutting corners, and the shame of borrowing from teachers and classmates it still fell short by over $300,000. To Jack, that was just the cost of a night of drinking with friends. A bag he bought for a companion. But to me, it was an insurmountable gap. After the operation, as she held my hand, my grandmother had repeatedly advised me, "We mustn't let the value of that money, insignificant to Jack, take control." So for 3 years, I had followed Jack's every request, no matter how unreasonable. But did I want to spend the rest of my life, my dreams and aspirations, consumed here? The cemetery was desolate, with only the sound of the wind and chirping insects. My grandmother's image on the gravestone silently watched me. She was gone forever, never to answer me again. That afternoon, a familiar person unexpectedly found me. It was Karina. Gone was the pride she exuded from the film set, and the confrontations with Lucy, replaced by a disheveled appearance. She sat in the corner of a cafe and asked me, "Lucy treated you like that, you must be angry, right? I know, you finally managed to climb onto Jack's high branch, and now she comes back and ruins everything." I let out a deep sigh, shaking my head, and rejected her offer. But I had underestimated Karina's madness. Her once proud acting career had been easily destroyed by Jack, and she had lost all sense of reason. That night, photos of Lucy and Jack together surfaced online. So-called insiders revealed, Jack has a girlfriend, they've been together for years, I've seen them together having dinner, that person is not Lucy at all. To prove her claims, she even posted a photo. Due to being taken surreptitiously, the image was somewhat blurry, but you could still see a woman with short hair, a slim figure, and a beauty spot near her eye. She was looking up, her gaze bright and directed at the man across from her. As I looked at the photo, I felt stunned. It was from 2 years ago, not long after my grandmother passed away. I had been feeling down. Jack had taken me to a newly opened niche restaurant. They served dishes from my hometown, seasoned in a way that mirrored my grandmother's decades-old habits. After tasting it, I knew he had brought me there on purpose, so I raised my head and sincerely thanked him. "Thank you, Mr. Jack." He chuckled and said, "Hannah, do partners usually address their boyfriends that way?" He suggested I call him honey. I couldn't get used to that level of intimacy, so that's all I could call him. Later, I found out that was how Lucy had always addressed him from childhood. "Hannah!" I snapped back to reality, seeing Jack storm in with a dark expression and stride purposefully towards me. Raising his hand, he gave me a slap and grabbed my collar, pushing me to the edge of the table. A photo was forcefully slammed in front of me. It depicted Karina and me sitting in a dimly lit corner of a cafe. His voice was chilling. "What more do you want? If your face didn't bear a resemblance to Lucy and you didn't have the audacity to offer your body to me for money when your grandmother was lying in the hospital, you would have known right now. Yet here you are, teaming up with others to frame Lucy. How could you be such a malicious woman?" My cheek burned from the blow, my neck strangled by the tight collar, a sense of suffocation surging through me. I managed to open my mouth with some difficulty. "It wasn't me. I rejected her." Jack wouldn't believe me. He gripped my jaw, scrutinizing my face up and down, as though wanting to tear a piece of flesh with his gaze. After a while, he sneered, "Low-class goods, truly despicable." He let go, watching me weakly collapse to the ground, then stormed out. The tide of public opinion quickly changed. Jack's friends stepped forward to clarify that I was not his girlfriend. Jack had helped her family with medical expenses out of pity, only for her to cling to him and constantly try to climb the social ladder. The meal in the photo was him trying to set things straight with her. Jack had some photos released. One showed me being harassed by customers at a bar. The angles made it appear as if I was welcoming the unwanted advances. There was also a photo of Karina having dinner with an investor. The final one was of the two of us in the cafe. Conclusions were drawn, so Karina, upset about losing a role, held a grudge and conspired with this nightclub woman to spread false rumors, right? Poor Lucy. My phone number was leaked, flooded with thousands of abusive text messages. People dug out my documents to demand the school revoke my graduate and degree certificates due to moral degradation. Meanwhile, Lucy emerged unscathed from the public opinion storm. On the second night, she confidently posted a photo of her engagement ring on her Weibo account. Congratulations poured in from countless people in the comments section. Meanwhile, the online bullying against me became more intense. For several days, I didn't dare to check my phone. Jack still hadn't returned. My stomach condition flared up again, and I decided to go out to the hospital to get some medication. But I was abducted and thrown into a white van. In an abandoned factory by the seaside, I saw Lucy, also bound and kidnapped. Her expensive gown was stained with dust and torn. Her meticulously groomed, silky hair now looked disheveled like dry grass. She looked at me with resentment in her eyes and cursed, "It's you again." I pursed my lips and replied, "I should be the one saying that. What right do you have to speak to me like this?" "You pauper," Lucy screamed, "Jack doesn't love you at all. If it weren't for you looking like me, you wouldn't even qualify to be his stand-in by his side." She lost control. The once haughty female star, abducted in the most brutal manner, locked in a dusty factory. Unable to even get a sip of clean water. She screamed and cursed, trying to negotiate, but all she got in return were punches and kicks from the kidnappers. After enduring for 2 days, Karina showed up. I sighed. I knew it was you. She looked at me with a smile. You see, you think for Jack, but he wouldn't consider your situation. Now both you and Lucy are here. If I can only save one person, I wonder who he would choose. In fact, the answer to this question didn't need verification. So when the sound of sirens got closer, Karina and her people hurriedly pushed me to the edge of the cliff. As I calmly glanced at Jack, he didn't even look at me but gazed at Lucy, saying, "Lucy, don't be afraid." The always prideful Lucy teared up. Sobbing, she called out Jack's name. "Save me, Jack." I gazed at the churning white waves below the cliff, silent. Karina asked me, "Aren't you going to struggle?" "No," I whispered, feeling tired. There were probably discussions about conditions and such. My stomach was getting more painful, and I was covered in layers of cold sweat on my forehead and back. Finally, I heard Jack's voice. He called out, "Hannah. I'll save you too, look at me. Lift your head and look at me." I didn't lift my head, only hearing Karina sneer, "It's not that simple. Jack, I've worked hard for so many years, finally made it to this point, all to be ruined by you. You will pay the price." Suddenly, there was a force from behind. I felt weightless, then the sensation of falling, the white waves in front of me getting closer. Lucy's scream faded away. I realized belatedly that she had pushed both Lucy and me off the cliff. Before being engulfed by the sea, I heard Jack calling my name for the last time. It was a voice of unprecedented fear and despair. "Hannah." On the 3rd day after Hannah fell into the sea, the secretary called to say the search and rescue team still hadn't found her. The best rescue time had passed, and the chances of survival were slim. Lucy had come from the hospital and was waiting outside for you. Would you like to see her? Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, Jack looked out at the darkening sky for a while before saying, "No, let her go back and rest." As he finished speaking, Lucy pushed the door open and walked in, staring coldly at him. "What's the meaning of this? Are you trying to blame Hannah's death on me?" She had bruises on her cheekbones and a long cut on her arm, still bandaged. But compared to the now missing Hannah, these injuries were insignificant. Jack avoided her gaze and spoke calmly, "No, you should go back and rest." Lucy didn't leave, standing in place, her eyes reddened staring at him. "Do you regret it now?" "Regret what?" "Regret getting engaged to me. Regret grabbing the wrong person that day. Why wasn't it her?" Jack pursed his lips, remaining silent. Lucy immediately understood. "Jack, do you realize she's just a willing substitute for money? She's carrying her Hermes bag, wearing a fancy diamond ring, all her belongings adding up to millions. By some strange coincidence, Jack thought about the first time he met Hannah. In the dimly lit bar, amidst the tumultuous lights and music, she wore a whitened shirt, with short hair. Guests intentionally teased her, stuffing tips into her neckline. She calmly took them out, carefully tucked them away, and even thanked them. In her eyes, it seemed like flames were burning. Including later on. For 30,000, she willingly came to him, offering herself. When he heard the gossip about Lucy, he felt angry and wanted to torment her in their affair. There were many moments when she stooped, the flames in her eyes perhaps momentarily dimmed but never extinguished. Jack admitted, at first, he had looked down on Hannah. Their lives were distant, like two separate worlds. On the first chaotic night, he almost vented on her emotionlessly. Hannah took it quietly, enduring it all. Only in the dim, swaying light did she hang her head, her eyelashes trembling violently, as if bearing immense pain. The next morning, she asked him if she could borrow some money. "Just consider it a loan." Jack felt more disdainful, as he had never seen such urgency in revealing her intentions among his previous companions. Still, he asked, "How much?" 30,000. After saying this, she paused. And somewhat hesitantly added, "If you could spare a few more thousands," as a backup. His pen on the check paper paused. Suddenly, he felt absurd. The breakup fee he casually gave to his ex was more than 10 times the price Hannah asked for. At that moment, he should have realized that she was different from those people. Being close to him wasn't about vanity, but desperation. Later on, he discovered many scars and wounds on Hannah. They were deep and shallow scars. She didn't care much, saying she got them when walking mountain paths to school, sometimes slipping when it rained, leaving scars. Later, Jack often thought about the sudden short pain he felt, which should have been the beginning of falling for her. He forcefully ignored it that he had liked Lucy for so many years. She was like a flower, always meticulously cared for, untouched by any dust, and her pride was expected. Hannah, on the other hand, was like clear lake water. She always quietly followed by his side, receiving his and his friends' deliberate harassment with grace. The more they looked down on her, the more her bright eyes reflected their despicable and shameful acts. Sometimes, Jack felt restless because he thought he never truly obtained her. She was only by his side for money, a favor brought by that ridiculous 30,000, forcing her to stay beside him. He knew she would sneakily read books in places he couldn't see, seemingly always ready to leave him. That eager and fervent gaze when she read, he never got a second of it. He just wanted Hannah to be able to contain him in her eyes, even if it was disgust or hatred. And so, one mistake led to another. On the 10th day after Hannah fell off the cliff, everyone said she couldn't have survived. Friends advised him, let it go, it's already like this, don't have unpleasantness with Lucy over a dead person. Besides, didn't you say she's just a stand-in? Jack looked up. His eyes were bloodshot. Lucy was shedding tears beside him. She questioned him, Karina's arrest news has been released. Are you now canceling the engagement to stage a drama with me, Jack? Are you not considering my career at all? At this time, she still called him Jack. With a tender and sad tone, a pitiful look in her eyes. Jack suddenly realized that Hannah never used such an endearing term for him. In the beginning, she called him Jack, later at his command, only willing to take the extra step, addressing him by his full name. Jack began to dream frequently about Hannah. In his dreams, he didn't humiliate or look down on her, didn't keep her by using a debt of gratitude, so her attitude towards him gradually softened, even willing to open her heart and call him Jack. He went to pick her up from work at the research institute, hiding a large bouquet of roses in the car. She received the flowers with some surprise, finally genuinely smiling at him. But upon waking up, there was nothing. Her books she read, the papers she wrote, the research results she silently studied were all on the bedside table. That was her world, and he had never stepped into it. 3 years passed like this. One day, on the news at a foreign scientific research results conference, he glanced causally and saw a vaguely familiar figure in the corner. Jack stood up in shock, almost thinking he was still dreaming. He asked someone to investigate, and the reply came back quickly. That person wasn't called Hannah, she was a PhD student in a foreign university studying marine biology. It was as if he had fallen from a warm and illusory dream. Jack silently stared out the window for a long time before saying slowly, she's still alive. Hannah's body was still not found. That meant there was a slim chance she might still be alive, no matter how tiny. Jack started to search for her all over the world, starting from that cliff where the sea flows, who has been there, nearby hospitals of all sizes. Hope was ignited time and time again, only to witness it shattered before his eyes. He was tormented by this repetitive pull. 2 full years passed, with no results. But he still held on to a glimmer of hope, still waiting. Waiting for the day when she would be willing to appear before him. Perhaps out of hatred and revenge, that was fine too. The plane glided onto the landing strip. After a brief moment of tinnitus, I took off my eye mask and retrieved my suitcase from the luggage rack. The hotel I checked into was arranged by the organizers, with the hall located downstairs. When I arrived, there were already quite a few people at the venue. Amy had collaborated with me on a project before, so we were somewhat familiar. She asked me, did you know? Today. They've invited several big bosses to the event, supposedly with investment projects of a commercial nature. Before she could finish her sentence, enthusiastic greetings could be heard from nearby. Jack is here too. Jack nodded slightly and said, yes, just came to take a look. Amy noticed and changed the topic. You see, that person is Jack. He used to be in the entertainment and IT industries, but for some reason in the past 2 years, he has started investing in some biotech and pharmaceutical projects. I smiled, is that so? She nodded and continued gossiping. Yes, you know his fiancée, right? Lucy, she used to be a popular A-list actress, but for some reason, she went to get plastic surgery a few years ago. As Amy was speaking, Jack and the people around him had already walked up to us. Jack, this is our specially invited guest from abroad, a PhD in cell biology from Columbia University, Professor Hannah. Under a bright crystal light, Jack's indifferent gaze swept over and suddenly locked onto my face. Those around us keenly sensed that something was amiss. But he seemed oblivious and looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I know you're not dead. I have been looking for you all this time. I took a step back, evading the hand he wanted to extend towards me, and said, "I'm sorry, who are you?" The atmosphere momentarily stagnated. In the end, the staff came over to smooth things out and politely escorted him away. Jack sat in the VIP section, his gaze piercing through the crowd, refusing to look away from me even for a moment. Amy curiously asked, "Do you know Jack?" "I don't." I smiled politely, perhaps he mistook me for someone else. The event proceeded smoothly to the end. Lastly, the staff from the Institute of Biology announced the list of invited PhDs, with my name right there. Hannah, I took the stage and shared a few thoughts, and for a moment, our eyes met in midair. Over the next few years, I would be staying there, hoping to engage in academic discussions with my colleagues. I stepped down from the stage and returned to Amy's side. She suddenly slapped her thigh and said, "I remembered. You and Jack's ex-fiancée, Lucy, you looked quite similar before her plastic surgery." "He probably mistook you for Lucy, right?" I finally smiled sincerely. "I think so." After the event dispersed, I unsurprisingly saw Jack's Rolls-Royce parked downstairs at the hotel. He leaned against the front of the car, gazing at me almost longingly. "Hannah." I politely nodded. "Jack." He asked me, "Do you hate me so much?" "Don't think like that, Jack." I sighed and said, "I don't have anything to discuss, I should go." "Don't leave." He reached out and grabbed my hem, his voice trembling, almost as if pleading. "That day at the cliff, I didn't mean not to save you, it's just, on instinct, I grabbed Lucy. Later, I sent people down to look for you, and they all said the cliff was steep, your hands were tied, and falling down would almost certainly mean no luck. But that day, I saw you on the news." I glanced at my wristwatch. Time was running out, and I really didn't want to stand by the roadside listening to his inner struggles on my second day back. So I politely smiled, interrupted him, and said, "I'm sorry, I have something to attend to, so I'll leave first." "Where are you going?" Just at that moment, a bright orange Porsche pulled up nearby. The driver got out, opened the door. "The boss has already booked a restaurant, let me take you there." Jack, standing nearby, turned pale in an instant. He watched me get into the car, and just as the door was about to close, he suddenly reached out and asked, "Who is your boss? This doesn't seem to concern you, does it now?" I smirked, my gaze falling on the Rolls-Royce behind him, couldn't resist a final barb. "After all these years, Jack, not changing your car doesn't quite fit your status, does it?" The car drove far away, but I could still see him standing in silence, gazing at me through the rearview mirror. At the Central City's rooftop garden restaurant, Celine was waiting for me. Leaning back against the wheelchair's backrest, she lazily looked at me. "Did you see Jack?" I briefly recounted the situation and self-reflected at the end. That last sentence was a bit cutting. Cutting? It wasn't cutting enough, in my opinion. She flipped through the menu, casually ordered 2 dishes, then handed me the menu, saying, "Next time you see him, remember to repeat those words verbatim." "Jack, you are just a third-rate scumbag, don't embarrass yourself." I propped myself against the table. "You really despise him." "Of course, I despise him. While you were pursuing your master's and PhD abroad, I was in the country fighting him, snatching several projects from him. Every time you performed a reconstructive surgery, I arranged for Lucy to trend negatively." She squinted and smiled. "I don't forget a grudge, I'm very vindictive." Warm yellow light illuminated her face, her eyes sparkling with a sharp glint. The first time I met Celine, she was like this. Legs disabled, sitting in a wheelchair, showing no signs of despair. She said with a smile, "I was the one who fished you out. You're truly clever. Cutting the rope before being pushed down, just leaving a tiny bit, no one noticed your little action. Right now, Jack has asked the search team to recover your body in that area. If it weren't for my yacht being nearby, how long would you have to swim before reaching the shore?" I was drenched all over, holding the towel around me. I whispered, "I'd swim however long it took. As long as it would help me escape Jack completely." She swirled her highball glass, slowly finished a whole glass of red wine, then asked me, "Can I help you? Is that okay?" I emailed my advisor and said the acceptance letter got lost. He said it didn't matter, as long as you showed up for registration. Celine helped me change my name, arranged for a new ID, then sent me to the hospital. There were tiny scars on my wrist from cutting the rope, and the arm that broke from the fall off the cliff. My cheek scraped against the rocks, almost to the bone. After undergoing multiple surgeries, I was finally fully repaired. Each healing phase was long and painful. When I first returned to the campus, I couldn't adapt to that kind of life. The 3 years spent by Jack's side, he and his friends trampled on my dignity and ideals, mocking me at will. They didn't even consider me an equal person. I kept having nightmares, dreaming of Jack seeing a tabloid about Lucy and then slamming something on my face, without any mercy, unleashing his anger. Dreaming of his friends cheerfully filling me up with alcohol, me drinking until I vomited, my stomach contents mingled with streaks of blood. He would just watch me dully and say, "You're useless." That was not the life I had envisioned. It would never be. I poured all my energy into academic research, spending weekends and holidays in the lab and the library, so much so that my advisor would often remark to the senior and junior students during group meetings, saying he had never seen a more diligent student than me. But in such busy and exhausting times, my once floating heart eventually found solid ground and landed firmly. 2 years ago, I knew Jack was looking for me. Many times, the leads he followed were cut off by Celine. She told me, "Study hard, pursue your goals and career, I will take care of the rest." I once asked her why. Celine fell silent for a long time, then asked me, "Do you know how my legs were broken?" She's 10 years my senior. When she was young, she too had her own dreams. Her parents handed over the family business to her brother for inheritance, yet when the company faced a crisis, they forced her into a marriage alliance. Finally, she casually said, "Since it was a group of good-for-nothings who needed me to sacrifice myself to maintain the company, might as well let me manage the family business." Her legs were broken when her infuriated brother pushed her off the balcony. That evening, we sat face to face on the balcony. She covered the back of my hand, sighed softly, "If only I had met you earlier. Then I wouldn't have let you waste 3 precious years of your life on him for a paltry sum of 300,000. Returning this time, I carried a patent project with me. The institute offered me a salary of 900,000, which I accepted. That was a figure the young desperate Hannah would have never dared to dream of. 5 years later, I calmly accepted the offer, signed the contract, then bought red wine and returned to celebrate with Celine. She drank wine, I drank milk. The recurring stomach illness made me quit alcohol entirely. I held the cup of milk, thanking her. She said, "Nothing to thank me for. I see a younger version of myself in you." Having had dinner, I said goodbye to Celine. Half jokingly, she pointed to the Porsche and asked me, "Wouldn't it be convenient for you to have a car for commuting? Are you really sure you don't want it?" I chuckled and replied, "The Research Institute has arranged a single apartment for me, just across the street from the institute." "Why do I need a car?" She shrugged. "Okay, call me if you need anything." Just a few days after I joined the Research Institute, Jack showed up again. He found me in the cafeteria, sat down across from me, and gazed at the corner of my right eye for a long time. After a moment, he softly asked, "Where's the teardrop mole?" I casually responded that when I fell off the cliff, my face got injured, and after a reconstructive surgery, it didn't look the same as before. His hand that was resting on the table suddenly started to shake. He asked, "Does it hurt?" This was an absurd question to ask. I put down my chopsticks, lifted my head, and calmly stared at him. "Jack, no matter what, this question should not be asked by you. The pain I endured during the 3 years we were together, maybe you have already forgotten, but I remember it clearly. Abusers always easily forget, ignore the harm they have caused to others." I looked directly into Jack's eyes and kindly started counting with my fingers for him. The time when I had a fever of 39 degrees, coincidentally Lucy was overseas and couldn't be reached on the phone, you got angry and took it out on me, saying that you could only feel comfortable if I was in your arms when I had a fever. When we went out, your friend made me drink until I spat out blood. You made me take a taxi to the hospital by myself, because there was no one to sign the consent form, so I had to endure the gastroscopy without anesthesia. Lucy was framed by Karina, you accused me of plotting it, called me names, and slapped me twice. There were many more instances, but I had gotten used to it. So when I underwent the reconstructive surgery on my wound, it didn't hurt much. Each time I spoke, his face became a shade paler. In the end, the always superior and cold Jack, in my presence, shed tears. I felt a bit embarrassed and looked around. Fortunately, the cafeteria was not crowded, and we were seated in a corner where not many people could see us. "I'm sorry, Hannah," he said with tears in his eyes. "I didn't realize my true feelings at that time." He hesitantly continued, "Karina and the others who kidnapped you have been sentenced. My engagement with Lucy will be annulled. I know she made things difficult for you at the film set." I chuckled sarcastically. "Are Karina and Lucy really the culprits?" You know very well, Jack, that the distance between countries, with your financial means, a trip abroad, or even moving there to be with her for a few years, is easily achievable. If you truly love Lucy, there are 1,000 ways for you to be with her, instead of finding companions, surrogates, as part of your so-called substitute. You don't love her that much, and you can't stand being alone, so you always need someone by your side. But you also think highly of yourself, looking down on those who accompany you, so you try every possible way to humiliate them to fulfill your psychological satisfaction. He looked at me blankly, speechless. Finally, with tears in his eyes, he said, "But Hannah, I truly love you now. I know I've done a lot of things to hurt you. Give me a chance, and I will love you and make it up to you with all my heart." I sighed, feeling that he was beyond redemption. You have everything, and yet you waste it on futile love-hate relationships. Don't you understand? I never liked you. I never had feelings for you. I willingly stayed by your side initially because you truly helped me financially. But all that, after the incident of being thrown off the cliff, I believed I had paid off the debt. I stood up with my tray. Jack suddenly grabbed my hand. He fumbled with his words. "What else do you need? Just give me a chance, scientific research funding, project investments. I can even set up a separate lab for you, so you can be independent and free from constraints. How about it? Don't be pathetic, Jack." I lost my patience completely and shook off his hand. The soup spilled from the tray, splashing on his expensive suit. I pursed my lips and coldly looked at him. "How much for the dry cleaning?" "Let your assistant bring the receipt to the research institute, and I'll compensate." He looked disheveled, like a wretched dog, the light in his eyes completely dimmed. No room for negotiation. A few days after Jack left, Lucy found me. She glared at me with almost disgust, saying, "I thought you were long gone." Over the years, he has tried several times to call off the engagement with me, but I refused. So he punished me, getting drunk and calling out your name, saying that you were the one he truly loved. Hannah, who do you think you are to make me your substitute? I looked at her with a tired face, unable to hide the weariness in her eyes, a restlessness like a trapped animal. Almost inadvertently, I thought of her when she had just returned. High and mighty, the center of attention, asking me to pour her wine and serve her soup. In the back of my mind, I had to dive into the icy artificial lake to find the non-existent ring for her. Round and round, it all ended up in such torment. Seeing that I continued to stare at her calmly, Lucy's emotions suddenly burst. She stood up abruptly, glared at me intensely. "What are you back for? Since you left, don't come back. Do you know that as soon as you came back, Jack said he wanted to divorce me. He said he wanted to cleanly pursue you and ask you for a chance. I went out to study, to do research, and then bring back my achievements to continue learning, to make contributions to the country and the people, and I think there's nothing wrong with that." Stirring my coffee in front of me, I said calmly, "Lucy, it is you who has narrow-minded thoughts, tying yourself up in useless love-hate. What right do you have to question me?" She glared at me resentfully, but couldn't utter a word. Lucy and Jack are of the same kind. From birth, they had everything, and they lack nothing. In their views, if you don't love me, and I don't love you, it's a great misfortune. But what I have always wanted is the path to achieve my ideals. I ignored Lucy, paid for my coffee, and left. Unexpectedly, that night I saw myself on the trending searches. Like Karina back then, she was skilled at using public opinion as a weapon. In a long Weibo post, she and Jack were portrayed as an engaged couple in love for years, and I was painted as the villain who snatched love away upon my return. Unable to find me, those people went to the official account of the Research Institute to leave comments, demanding my dismissal. How can a person with a high education halo but poor character handle important scientific research work? This time the public opinion came on strongly. A few extreme fans even went outside the Research Institute and held up banners. I directly reported to the police. Celine was furious. I gave her face. "What qualifications does a plastic surgery freak have to act so high and mighty?" I stopped her. "This time, let me handle it myself." Some things, even if I didn't mention them back then, were not without evidence. I registered an account and posted a video. Back at the film set, when Lucy and Karina had a conflict, feeling upset, they forced me to go underwater to find the non-existent ring for her. In fact, there was a lowly assistant on the scene, always oppressed, who secretly recorded the scene and sent the video to me. She said, "If she bullies you again, expose it." That's how these people are, elevated by fans. They don't see us as people. 5 years ago, I didn't expose it. because I knew very well that the root of the problem was not with Lucy but with Jack. But this time, she provoked me voluntarily. After the video was released, public opinion was in an uproar. The video was clear and complete. Soon, Jack also stepped forward, admitting that he had maintained a romantic relationship with me during his time with Lucy. In other words, Lucy was the third person who took over, and now she tried to turn the tables. Her reputation plummeted, and her film contracts and commercial endorsements were all cancelled. As for Jack's company, the stock price plummeted. Ignoring it all, he called me in the middle of the night. "Hannah, how do you want to get back at me? Or, repay me for what I did to you back then?" I chuckled lightly. "No need. I find any further contact with you now to be dirty." He seemed not to care about my sarcasm. The next day at the research institute, the leader told me that the funding for the biological project I led had doubled, and it came from Jack's private sponsorship. Before I could refuse, he winked at me. "Since it's funding, how to utilize it is entirely up to you. Besides, this is Jack's support for our research project. It's not about personal emotions." I smiled and accepted his proposal. Jack started coming over in his car every day, waiting at the entrance of the research institute, but I ignored him, indifferent to his efforts. That afternoon, he even brought some of his former friends. Several well-dressed men stood at the entrance, bowed to me, and apologized. With my experiment data having gone awry these days, my mood was already bad. The passing colleagues' and onlookers' curious gazes embarrassed me even more. Finally, I couldn't hold back my anger and said, "Jack, are you out of your mind?" He looked at me wistfully. "Hannah, I just want to apologize for those past actions towards you. There's no need." I looked at him expressionlessly. "I have my own life and work now. As long as you don't disrupt me anymore, that's all I ask. Also, take care of Lucy. You two solve your relationship problems yourselves." Jack didn't really like me. It was just that I miraculously survived after falling off the cliff in his presence. That turned into an obsession for him, as if obtaining it would prove something. Just like Lucy back then, I swept my gaze over him and his friends one by one, and suddenly said, "Do you remember? Back then, I went to the bar to pick you up to take you home, but your friends stopped me and insisted that I perform my research project. I heard from my teacher that you donated funds to the project I am currently researching. So, welcome to bring your friends to the lab for a visit, to see how I record data and advance the project." After 8 years, I finally openly retaliated against their mockery that day. Jack looked at me in pain, his eyelashes trembling, almost unable to speak. As dusk approached, the light from the sky gradually dimmed. The autumn wind blew fallen leaves, swirling and landing between us. Jack and I stood face to face, no longer in the humble and pleading posture of the past. He took a deep breath and asked me with some difficulty, "If from the beginning when we first met, I treated you with equal respect, lent you money if you needed it, and did not stop you from continuing your studies, would you have possibly liked me?" Without hesitation, I said, "I would be very grateful to you and would repay the money as soon as possible, and in the future, I would provide assistance to you in any way I can. As for whether I like you or not, that has never been an option in my life." I hadn't seen Jack for a long time. The next news I heard about him was surprisingly in the news. Lucy's days became difficult. Her family pressured Jack to marry her. Jack refused, no matter what. Feeling annoyed, he drove out to clear his mind. The brakes failed on a mountain road, and he fell off a cliff. When he was rescued, he was covered in blood, in a deep coma. The police investigated and eventually traced it back to Lucy. She admitted it. "Yes, it's me." He started at first, "Why should I be left because of a poor substitute?" Once a popular female celebrity, now fallen from grace, completely out of control. I wasn't feeling well, and he won't get away smoothly either. Some of Jack's friends came to me, wanting me to go to the hospital to see him. I firmly refused. "I don't think there's a need for that, right?" He angrily stared at me. "Do you know what Jack did for you?" "I know," I said with a smile. "Did he bring me to your party and let you all drink and tease me, or did he release taken out of context photos of me to tarnish my reputation?" His face changed color, speechless. The experimental project went through several setbacks, but eventually yielded results. When the presentation event was held, Jack was still lying in the hospital, unconscious. Afterwards, I went to the cemetery again. My grandmother was still on the tombstone, smiling kindly at me. I breathed a sigh of relief, watching the mist spread in the cold air. Actually, when my grandmother was on her deathbed, she held Jack's hand and asked him to be kinder to me. She said, "I know Hannah borrowed 300,000 because of my illness, it's my fault. Don't blame her, she's really been through a lot over the years. Her thin hand, with veins showing from the effort. She struggled to speak more and more. Treat her well. Jack remained silent for a while, saying okay. My grandmother finally left with peace of mind. I lay on her body, almost unable to make a sound, just crying incessantly. By chance, I glanced up and saw Jack frowning, wiping his hands with disinfectant wipes. He had always looked down on me and the struggling poor people in this world. But now it's his turn. My research results have gradually been put into use, and I will soon be involved in the next project. Maybe in many years, I will be a famous biologist in history. By then, you will surely be happy for me, right? Leaning against my grandmother's tombstone, I said many words. Until the sky completely darkened, I got up and left. Celine was waiting at the door. She had the driver bring a black car to pick me up. Once in the car, my frozen body gradually regained feeling. That night, the sky was cloudless, the moonlight shining brightly. Tree shadows swirled past the car window, along with one streetlight after another. Finally, I was back on the path of pursuing my dream after many years. This time, I will not stop again.